Hey Monica, how you doing?
Hey Kimberly, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. I know that we are both very excited about the opportunity that we have next week.
Yes, I'm ready to come see the Dallas part of the world.
And not only will you see the Dallas part of the world, but you will see the Fort Worth side of the world, because that is where the training that we are attending and actually both honored enough to be leading some classes. So this is going to be a big thing.
Yes. New world for me. I've not been down there, so I'm excited to go see some new things.
It's going to be great. So just so people know what we're talking about, in September of 2023, it's the Women of Law Enforcement. It's the 10th annual conference. And it's being hosted in Fort Worth. And a lot of departments, a lot of individuals from various departments and entities have worked to put this together. And we know that hundreds of women attend this. They get TCOL training credits for it. And we also know, me being from a large department and you being from a smaller department, we can both recognize how difficult it is as women to get training.
Yeah, it is. I think, with my department that I came from originally, it was always a tough process to try and apply for the training. You almost always expect to get denied, especially when there's a price tag attached to it. So it can be a struggle to try and get out to outside training, especially if your department's the type that keeps in-house training pretty regularly.
Absolutely. And then we have to recognize the logistics of this, and that is departments only have a certain percentage of women. And if they allow them to go to training, whether on duty or allow vacation time for it or personal time, depending upon the department, they don't have women on duty. And that could be a very serious problem. And it's also cost prohibitive for a lot of departments to send just a couple women and cover hotel and per diem and then the cost of the training also, even though nobody could argue on the immense value of this training. When we received the catalog of the breakout sessions, I was just, overwhelmed by the quality of the instructors, the classes, and the training that's going to be available for these female officers. It's pretty cool, actually.
It is. There's a lot of subject matter being covered. It's everything from your fun defensive tactics and shooting to leadership and specific investigations and all of those things. So it's pretty cool.
And what are you leading? What class are you leading?
So mine will be reflective of my subject matter background, which is health and fitness and nutrition. Really just laying the foundation for what's going to keep you healthy as a female law enforcement officer, teaching you a couple different things, basics about nutrition, what you should be eating, how to create a balanced plate, how that works with your shift work nutrition, making sure you're eating on a decent timeline or schedule, depending on what your shift looks like, and really just how to get moving, finding a good exercise plan or getting some guidance on how to get moving to reach any personal specific goals you have, or maybe just to be a better version of yourself and be a healthier version of yourself. So I think hopefully the people will take this back to their department and hopefully create like a program or at least be able to share it with others, so that this information is more widespread. And as a um, career field, we can be healthier in general, not just the women, obviously, but the guys too.
Yeah, and that's so important. Over the last year or so, you and I have talked many times and created multiple videos about this, about don't victimize yourself because of your shift work or the hours that you're working or what's available at a drive-through or at a convenience store or a vending machine. Take responsibility ahead of time and prepare your food, take care of, well, no one's going to do it for you. Let's put it that way. So do it yourself. And a lot of times, you and I both know that the women are trying to do their best and they don't really have the knowledge. Some people might know it, others don't. And so I think by you standing up for these women and offering it to them is going to be very helpful, very powerful, very powerful. And you're not giving them a test either. So
Bonus points. There's no test.
Yeah, when I was creating the lesson plans for the 2 classes I was teaching, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, wait a minute, there's no tests on this. I don't have to, you know, I get to facilitate the knowledge because I want it to be useful for them, not because I'm worried about, a certain amount of people passing the class or whatever. So I'm actually leading 2 classes. I'm leading one, I'm doing life coaching for first responder females to get out of survival mode, stop fighting everything, and different ways they can do that, having to do with their own personal scheduling, their decision making, their goal setting, journaling, different things they can do. And then I'm doing no regrets retirement for first responders. And the way I wrote that class, it's not just for the older officers. I kind of actually hope I get some of the younger ones in there also so they can really start making some changes in their way of thinking and how they're approaching their life and their career before the year before they retire and they realize, oh shit, what do I do now? So I'm really hoping that will be impactful. And again, like you said, they can take the information back with them, use it themselves, and hopefully share it with some others. So you are a nutrition and fitness coach. And what is the name of your company?
50 Fierce and Fit.
Yes, and they can find you on Facebook
Yes.
under that name.
Yep. 50 Fierce and Fit group on Facebook is the best place you can find our community. I've got over 1,000 female first responders in there. There's a couple guys sprinkled in there, but mainly women. And that's where you can find all the content you need to take control of your life and your career and really get to the point of health and confidence that you're really looking for.
And I'm a certified life coach, and I have a Facebook group called Bold and Brave Women, and that is just basically general life coaching. I'm really putting a lot of attention now on process and systems, as I'm finding I have a great interest in women that are living with ADHD, high performing women, women that just have a lot going on and that are doing very well in that, but need to feel content where they are or figure out how to get to the next step, but without fighting everything. And then also I'm I'm a certified retirement life coach where I help first responders retire. I don't do anything with the money. It's about the life. It's about the living. You and I wanted to create this video to give some suggestions to women that are going to training, to a conference, to a convention, to a job-related training opportunity. What's the first thing that you would tell them?
Talk to people. Don't be the person in the corner who doesn't talk to anybody. Get up, introduce yourself. It's hard for us. I think cops in general like their own little circles and they don't want to get out of their own bubbles. But get up, shake hands, talk to people. Because networking, I think, is the biggest asset within this career field. So you can't get too stuck where you're at. You never know when you might need somebody's help, or you might work your way into a different agency or advance your career in the same way. So you never know. It could be a first impression of your future employer or a first impression of somebody you really need somebody's like specific help with on a call or at work, or maybe if it's like me and you, it's stuff that's other specialized that will help you with your career that's not necessarily inside of your career type of thing. So get out and talk to people.
Love it. Love it. And that'll just make it more fun also. It'll make it a lot more fun. And if an individual doesn't really know how they would present themselves, I would recommend that they just keep it simple. Their name, their department, their assignment within the department, and they might be asked, where would you like to go later? A lot of times it depends upon who they're talking to. Sometimes it'll just be a social conversation like, hey, where are you from? What are you going to do? Other times you could have the opportunity, like you said, to really show your stuff, in a friendly but still professional way. So here is where I put my commander mom hat on. And over the years of going to many, many training opportunities, work-related events that were out of town, we've seen a lot. We've seen a whole lot. Back in the day, police training and conventions and stuff like that were a lot of partying that was going on, and officially and unofficially. And I would really like to ask the ladies that are watching us right now to really think if that's going to serve them in the long run. A lot of people say, well, I'm out of town, I'm off duty. If you are currently employed by a department, or if anybody carries your license, if anybody's responsible for you, you're not on your own time. You're not really ever on your own time. But especially in a situation like this, even if you've paid your own way, even if your department has not put one penny towards this and you're using your vacation time, I still really invite you to make very good decisions. One thing I always asked the folks I worked with when they went to outside training is I always asked them to be prepared to share the information that they got while they were there. And many of them came back and said, oh, Lieutenant, I'm ready to teach this class. And they said they actually paid better attention. They take really good notes. They grabbed some extra handouts, and they really were excited to share their information with their coworkers. So that was like excellent. The department definitely benefited from that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're someone who is like super interested in a subject matter, and especially if you feel like maybe your department could benefit from like more of an expert in the space, who's to say you can't be the liaison to set that up, to bring that person in to teach for you guys so that you're learning it directly from the source. I mean, I know some agencies will, it ends up being, I feel like, a watered down product if you try to teach what was originally taught, but you're not the original instructor, and then it just gets watered down and dispersed to the department. But if you can get the actual instructor in to teach, or maybe certify somebody else to teach, I mean, it's better. I know it's hard to reach the masses some way sometimes with one person, but there's a better way to do it. So you can be a liaison for your department and saying, hey, like, at least throw a bug in their ear of like, this person was awesome, I really enjoyed their course, I think it would be an asset if we brought them here or brought them in to teach. Here's their contact information, captain, training officer, whoever, whatever. Can we look into getting this person here? And I mean, obviously they can tell you no, but you can always try.
No, but you're right. Get it started, get it started. And then, maybe they're like, it's a hard hell no. And so you're the one who ends up teaching it. And then they look at it and they go, this is some good stuff, and they recognize that it could be, like you said, better with the company or the individual. Of course, this is if you have the legal right to teach it. You can't teach copyrighted information. You can't make copies of copyrighted information and stuff like that. So, we don't want to break the law while teaching the law. So we want to be careful of that. I went to some training probably about when you were born. I went to some training out in San Diego, and it was problem solving for police. And I went to this class, and they were talking about preventing family violence homicides. And I went into the class thinking, you can't prevent that. Can't prevent it. And, I'm listening to them, and I want to say it was Cincinnati. I'm not sure, but it's a more Eastern city than Dallas. And boy, halfway through that class, I couldn't take enough notes. I mean, it was so, and this is where you had to take notes because you didn't have phones to take pictures of anything. So you were taking all the notes. But they laid out exactly why they believe that you could prevent some family violence homicides. And I'll be honest, it changed how I approached my job. I became more aware of things. And when I would go on family violence calls, or when I would go on any call that just kind of got my attention a certain way, I started making notes on that and, sending it to the investigator, et cetera, et cetera. And it was now it's common knowledge that this is occurring. This was back in 93, not 95. This is back in 95. And now departments use that information regularly. But back then it was groundbreaking. And I have to tell you, it was kind of cool having sat in the class and listened to those homicide detectives, share their information. I mean, it's kind of common sense now, but back then it wasn't.
Right. I mean, street work and patrol work, even detective work, I mean, it's always evolving, it's always changing. There's always new information and better techniques and tactics and ways to do things. So I think maybe another point would just to be going with an open mind. Hopefully, I would think at a big conference like this, most people are there voluntarily, but every once in a while you get the person who's voluntold to go to a training for one reason or another. So hopefully staying open-minded will help people to learn a little bit more than thinking they already know what's being taught type of thing.
So we're going to post this video. I'm going to post it on my Facebook pages and my YouTubes, and you're going to probably post it on yours. So the women can hopefully see it before the conference next week, but the information is still valid, even if it's not for that conference, even if it's for future training opportunities. But you and I will both have vendor tables out, and you will have your company clearly identified there. And then I will have my vendor table, and mine's going to be my essential oil business and then also my coaching business, because that all ties in with taking care of yourself, self-care. Like I said, no one's going to do it for you. So, and then you'll be teaching, and then I'll be teaching, and then we're also going to be doing exactly what we said that everybody else should consider doing, and that's networking and meeting people and learning from other individuals.
Absolutely. Next week, it's coming quick.
Anything you want to add?
One last point I thought about that might be something good to throw out there is be careful how much you bash your own department to other people. Or just talk negatively in general about other people, because the law enforcement community is so small. We like to forget how small we are sometimes. But I know for me up in the Tulsa area, we always hear things about neighboring agencies and what's going on with them and where's a good place to be and where's not a good place to be. But at the same thing, you don't want something you said to get back to your chain of command in your department that will reflect poorly upon you either, because again, it's a small world and law enforcement like to gossip. So try, if you're going to say something, maybe try to keep it positive or more vague. If something negative comes up in conversation, that way you don't have to do the CYA dance after the fact.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. And as the old commander, I will say that I wouldn't even hire somebody if I knew they handled themselves that way. I would not want them on my department. I would not want to work with them, because it just shows that they're pretty stupid. I mean, they're just stupid. That's all there is to it. And like you said, there are ways to say things that are not flat out negative or bashing. You don't have to sugarcoat anything. You're not lying, but it's just your presentation is often what gets an individual in trouble. And this is such a great opportunity to support other women in law enforcement, to accept every woman for what they are. Don't expect them to be this or that or anything else. Let them be themselves, support them, learn from them. And like you said, don't bash your department. I don't understand this. We are actively trying to get women into law enforcement, and other women will complain about the profession or a department with no intention of making it better, but they just want to air the laundry. So not smart, not smart at all. But outside of all the don't do's that I said, I do hope everybody has a fabulous time. It's going to be a great opportunity. I look forward to meeting anybody who hears this. Come up and say hi and tell us what you think. You can also always send us, we always post our contact information. Feel free to reach out to either of us, both of us. Monica with the health and fitness and anything related to female being in law enforcement. Me, the same thing. Anything for women. I can help you through whatever you need, a process or a system through, just to get your head on right, goal setting, etc. And they say we can't save the world, but why not?
We can try.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you. I'll see you there.